right, let's talk about holiday safety. Chief, go ahead.
Well, we just want to remind people as we move into the holidays, we just finished with Thanksgiving. That's one of the biggest days of the year as far as home fires go. I believe that, along with Christmas and Christmas Eve, are the three top days each year for home fires. And so we want to just remind people that when you're actually setting up for your Christmas right now with the tree and the lights and everything else, to be very careful what you're doing. Around the holidays, we like to use more candles. That's an open flame and a potential hazard. But when you're doing the decorations and things like that, you want to make sure and keep the anything that's flammable away from that open flame, where it could set a candle or away from the fireplace and things like that. And when you're doing with the lights, you want to check them over real quick just to make sure none of the cords are frayed, and there's no wires showing and things like that could potentially start a fire.
Okay. Most decorations are pretty good to go, right? They're pretty safe.
Yeah, these days they make the decorations pretty safe. It's some of those older ones that have maybe been around for a long time. If they're outside and the wires are the insulation is starting to crack and things like that, and you get exposed wires, there's an opportunity for something to arc there and maybe start a fire. So just want to check those over real quick before you really put them up in the house.
Okay. Assistant Chief Brian Morefield, ion batteries, lithium batteries. We're seeing all these new batteries come into play.
Well, they are amazing technology. However, we got to be careful, especially when it comes time to charging these batteries. They state that it's okay to leave these batteries on chargers full time. We are seeing there's studies out right now that once they've reached full charge, they need to be removed from the charger. They can continue to generate heat, and then just be careful where we're charging them. Just like when you plug in your phone. A lot of people always have their phone plugged in next to them at bedtime. But I would highly recommend setting it on a nightstand or something next to you on a hard surface, not in your bed where it can get under a pillow or whatnot. So
they produce heat.
Yes,
how does
tremendous amount of heat.
Yeah, how does that happen?
Oh, it's actually in the charging process of the battery. It's way beyond me. All I know though is that the heat is contained, and we don't notice the heat as much. In the older cell phones, remember, you can feel the phone starts getting warm too as we're charging. Yeah. And but no, they're insulated well and whatnot, but it still poses a risk. And we're also seeing now with the batteries, obviously, in electric vehicles and other things. I noticed some electric snowblowers out the other day as well. Same thing. We just got to be cautious of those batteries and the charging process, especially. Just I wouldn't be charging and leaving home while they're charging. So. Okay,
good information to know. Because I've wondered about that, because it is new technology that we're dealing with. And there's some EVs that have had some difficulty with that charging.
Yeah, they're. I think that we're in the kind of early stages of the EV. If you want to, they've been around for a really long time. But I think that as they kind of get more into population, we start finding out what problems they do have. And so I think that may be one of the things that they need to take a look at is some of the fires that have happened, and maybe kind of a way to put them out, because it's very difficult to put out a car fire that has those lithium batteries. Tremendous amount of water it takes to put those out. And they are coming out with some different technologies, with fire blankets and things like that you can put over it and smother the fire instead of putting it out with water. But it is a big hazard for those people that have them, and for the fire department to have to go put those out.
Okay. And holiday safety includes our vehicles.
Yeah, before I move on from that, I just want to mention the smoke alarm and carbon monoxide detectors as we kind of get into the winter months too. When you're doing decorations and things like that, it might not be a bad idea to check that smoke alarm to make sure it's working. If it's a smoke alarm that has the battery inside of it, unless it's a hardwired smoke detector that it's actually supposed to have a battery as a backup, those are fine. But if you have a smoke alarm that uses battery as its primary power source, you want to go ahead and replace that with a smoke alarm that has the 10-year sealed long life battery. As we talk about battery stuff still, it has the long life battery, the 10-year sealed alarm. And so go to replace that. And then carbon monoxide is also a big concern during the winter months. With people start turning on the furnaces and things like that, you could have the potential for carbon monoxide in the house. And so we'll make sure everybody has an alarm to be able to sense that before it becomes a problem.
Let me ask you this, Assistant Chief Morefield, where does carbon monoxide typically come from in a home?
So in our homes here in town, we're fueled by natural gas. And whether you have natural gas or you have a wood-burning fireplace or you have an attached garage, carbon monoxide is a byproduct of combustion, and if it's not a good clean combustion, or you have a slight leak of carbon monoxide of unburned fuel, you could develop unsafe levels of carbon monoxide in the homes. And talking about an attached garage, we want to be careful not leaving a vehicle running in a garage, or if it's warm and the vehicle's warming up, and you might have the garage door open. However, if you have your door going inside the house open or whatnot, if you're taking stuff in and out, you also stand the risk of having carbon monoxide enter the home from the vehicle's exhaust. But it's important to have your furnaces serviced once a year. This helps maintain their efficiency. It's also not running a risk of having carbon monoxide from them. Also with water heaters, or if you have a gas stove or oven, we can anytime we have a leak in unburned raw fuel, you run the risk of having not only the gas leak in the house, but elevated levels of CO. So.
Okay, thank you for that explanation, because I just got to thinking, where does that come from?
Yeah.
We hear about it, the carbon monoxide detectors, but where would the source generate from? So
right, yeah, and those carbon monoxide detectors need to be mounted within 15 feet of every sleeping area. So, if all the bedrooms are close together upstairs, you can kind of put one in the hallway in the middle of everything. But if the bedrooms are farther apart, they do need to be within 15 feet of that sleeping area. Okay,
good information. All right, anything else you want to talk about holiday safety-wise for the home?
I don't think so. We go back to the cars. Sorry to interrupted you.
No, that's right.
But no, we talked about earlier with the snow coming in, things like that. It doesn't hurt to pack up a little emergency kit to put in your car. Just in case something happens.
Right. And it's important too, especially as we travel. And a lot of us, as we're getting in our garages, attached to the house, we're warm and cozy. We get in the car and we're going to go straight to work and run right into work. So we don't think about, being prepared and dressing appropriately. And that also goes with, your emergency kit that the chief could talk about that we'd have in the vehicle. It's crucial to make sure that that coat and blanket, maybe hat and gloves, are in the vehicle with you, not like in your trunk or the rear SUV. Because if you get into an accident or such and you can't exit the vehicle or access your gear to help keep you warm, obviously we can't fit everything inside the car. But think about if the vehicle is stopped or you're in traffic or whatever the situation is and you can't get out and access, what can you grab right now, to keep yourself sustainable?
I always remember years ago, I cannot think of the date, but our operations manager, Mike Weaver, has been with us for a long, long time. Well, he comes from Macomb. Well, one day we did the usual. The storm was coming, so, hey, go ahead and get in your vehicle, head on back to Macomb. And so he had a full tank of gas headed towards 67. I don't know if you guys remember, out of nowhere, the trucks turned over. What do you call that? Jackknife.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And the snows just started coming in so fast. Everybody was stranded on Highway 67 North and South. He was there for hours. So it's real. You need to have something because you can't run your car for that length of time.
You touch on having a full tank, and that's just it too. Turning the vehicle off for a while, but also being in a vehicle, that cold temperature is going to increase rapidly as soon as your heat is off. But that also goes with making sure your exhaust pipes clear as snow while the vehicle's running. But again, think about having a full cell phone, battery. Your vehicle might not always be running to where you can charge your vehicle or charge your cell phone, But warmth is the key thing. Remember, in sub-zero temperatures, even you dehydrate just as fast, if not faster, than you do in elevated temperature conditions. So water is crucial to have with you. But think about the other passengers in your vehicle too. Don't have enough just for you.
Right.
So.
Okay. So emergency kit: prepare a coat, blanket, gloves, maybe even some boots in case you do have to get
blankets and things like that. And like Assistant Chief Morefield said, a cell phone charger. And run your car once in a while. You never know when something's going to happen. It might not be your fault. Like you said, it might be an accident ahead of the road. You're sitting there for a couple hours. We've had instances in Warren County in our area that we've had a lot of snow all at once, and we have people run off the road altogether. And if it gets to that level, there's sometimes where the tow trucks they come off the road and say we're done for the night too, because they don't want to risk being stuck themselves.
And that's exactly what we have seen that happen numerous times.
Right. Yeah, and that's a very difficult situation because we're very frustrated as first responders. We're not able to get to people to help them out. But also, people are just stuck out there. They're not injured or anything. So that's why it's a very frustrating situation. So the better off you can give yourself a little bit of head start by having all these things in your car and have to wait those situations out.
Okay. Space heaters. That's a big one you like to touch on every year.
Yeah, space heaters. We kind of talked before our interview here about if they're dangerous and things like that. I don't think space heaters alone are dangerous. It's maybe just how you use them. Space heaters are you want to make sure and set them away from furniture, curtains, and things like that. At least 3 feet away from all that stuff. You don't want to because it projects heat out in front of it. You don't want to get everything too hot. But the one of the biggest things that we see is with the cords to use the space heaters. People use to get those 3 feet away from things. A lot of people will use an extension cord with the space heater, and most times the extension cord that people use is not rated for that heater. Those space heaters use a tremendous amount of electricity, and when they're trying to pull that much electricity through a smaller power cord that's not made for it, it can heat up very, very quickly. And if that's laying across carpet or on a piece of furniture or something like that, it can cause a fire pretty quickly.
Okay, so being conscientious of where our space heaters are at. All right, gosh, you guys are talking like it's going to get cold. It's winter already. Goodness.